So I was surrounded by art and fashion from a very young age. It's something that that I suppose you just absorb as a child, and if it's around you enough, you'll end up absorbing it whether you want to or not. And I was really lucky that my parents were really into abstract art, a lot of contemporary abstract. They had a lot of friends that were abstract painters, artists, and I just feel, and I was just always around it, and at home we always had lots of paintings. So it's always something that I was interested in, and it's something that I've always loved. There's a lot of inspiration that you can find in nature. I feel that nature never gets it wrong. I think that if you see colours and harmonies in colour in nature, you never think, oh my god, that looks really strange. You always think that looks so beautiful, and I really want to capture that. Colour can also create moods, which is something that I try to capture in my prints. I also feel that just you can find inspiration anywhere, just walking through the park, or just anything, sunsets, flowers, the river, just the ripples in the river as a texture, to leaves. Anything can be an inspiration, and you just gather it within yourself, so, and then that kind of comes out in my prints. We're currently in my studio where all the magic happens. One of the most challenging things can be working with your family, because I work with both of my parents, which is quite unique sometimes. It's great, but it also can be very difficult in terms of everybody has their own role, so everybody does their own thing, but then our roles also overlap quite a lot, so we all have to respect each other's roles and respect each other's sort of space. And a lot of the times we're at the studio at different times in order to not constantly be glued together, sort of joined at the hip, because it can be very draining, I think, for everybody if we live in each other's pockets. But it's fun, it's great, it's really good. I think we all do things outside of Daisy Darche as well, so we all have our own projects going on outside, which also gives us a break from just always working together on things. We all do our own things as well.
Well, at the moment we are working on our Autumn-Winter 14 collection, so I think this is the most exciting time in the Daisy Darche label, because we're obviously creating the new samples, and although things are planned, but as they are fabrics, so they are not solid concrete blocks. Those fabrics react in different ways, so sometimes you design things for certain shapes, and then you have to, as you go along, you kind of develop the style, and the style becomes sometimes something different. Family business was at one point we realized that printing fabrics is something we would like to undertake, because a lot of designers use digital printing, and there were not many places in this country who could serve designers for their needs, because obviously we don't expect top fashion designers to do huge runs for their own labels. They are kind of exclusive labels. So we decided, after working with some other suppliers of digital print, we decided to invest in our digital print studio, and my husband, who is a physicist by profession, got quite interested in that and opened a design print studio.
And this is a printer, digital printer, which is in principle the same kind of printer which you probably would be using in your office for printing your documents. It's an inkjet printer with the head moving across the fabric. The fabric has to be specifically prepared for this kind of printing. It gets some kind of, I won't go into it, chemical solution which allows the ink to get in touch with the fabric and not bleed. Using my inks, the reactive inks, I can print silks. I can print cotton, linen. I tried wool and I got really good results as well. But I couldn't print on artificial fiber, like for instance polyester or lycra, which is so popular with the swimming costumes, for instance. So these are the limitations which we encounter in here.
It's really difficult to kind of pinpoint exactly how everything starts, because I feel that since the beginning of creating this brand, it's just been one long stream of consciousness. So it's just been a case of, I started this about 5 years ago and I just haven't stopped since. So I think each collection starts with a concept or an idea or a mood or maybe some colors, and then it evolves. It just evolves until you get what you want. It's really difficult to explain it. It's just something that just happens. It just constantly evolves until you could go on forever if you didn't have a deadline, basically. But because you have a deadline, you have to at some point stop and you have to make some samples. Definitely the print comes first, and then from that we decide how many styles we do. We have some staples that we do every season. We create every season, and it's just about how to place the print on that shape in order for it to look different every single time, so that it doesn't look the same all the time. Initially, I wanted to be a fashion designer when I was really young. So when I was 14, that was sort of the plan for me. But then I think that while speaking to my parents, they tried to discourage me from going down that path, only because it is really hard. It's a really hard, it's tough. There's no sort of middle ground. You're either kind of quite big and you're very, very successful, or you're struggling a lot. There's no, once you've made it, and it can go from one season to another. So within 6 months you can be quite big and you can be making a lot of money, you can be very successful, or you can be really small, struggling constantly. So it's really difficult, and those that struggle, often you tend to spend a lot of money, and it's money usually that you don't have. So it's really difficult to continue being a designer for yourself for a long time without having financial backing. This is one of our staple pieces in the collection. So this piece has been going since the very first season. It's just a really simple kaftan, but I really like it because of the way that it shows off the print. There are a few seams in it, and it's been cut into not very much, which means that you get as much of the print as possible. That's one of the reasons why a lot of our pieces are really simple, to show off the print as much as possible, because the more you cut into a print, the less of the print you actually see, which I think is a real shame. So this print is mainly from a photograph which I took. I can't remember when exactly, but it's from my many photographs that I take while walking in London. London is a real big source of inspiration for me, mainly because I live here, but also because I just love this city. I love everything about it, the culture and everything about London, basically. And I'm also obsessed with gradients, which is something that I like to create. I think that the way that you can mix colours and gradients makes colour more interesting. It doesn't mean that it's just a block. You know, you have a lot going on. There's a lot of colour rather than having just one block of colour. So it's softer. I think it's more forgiving and it's more interesting. The eye travels around the piece rather than just looking at a specific area. And it kind of creates a mood as well, kind of like a sunset, I feel. And that's why I really love this piece. I come to the V&A periodically. Usually I come here to see an exhibition, something that I haven't seen before. And either on my way to the bookshop or on my way out, I like to come here and just walk around, sit at the fountain. I find that these galleries are often quite empty. So it's nice to just walk around by yourself and just have a moment to yourself, away from the craziness of your day and away from having to rush from one meeting to another, just to have that moment to really reflect, think about things. If I have a mental block when designing, it's nice to come here and just think. And it's just one of those things you can, it's almost like meditating. Your mind can go blank and you can just really think about what it is that you're doing, what it is you're trying to achieve. It's one of those things, it's your link between the present and the past are these pieces. This is really all that you have. And before any written records, you'd have art, and art was a way of recording history. So that's another reason why I like coming here, because it's something that somebody has made so long ago, which for them, which has stood the test of time, which isn't true for everything. I'm not a very religious person as such. However, there's something mystique about these pieces. It's just, it's almost like they're alive in a way, and they have so much history behind them.